The world saw a rare and powerful moment between King Charles and Prince William just before the Order of the Bath service. A quiet exchange between father and son, unnoticed by most, but deeply meaningful to those who knew what was unfolding behind the royal curtain. In that brief moment, filled with emotion and silence, something shifted, not just within the royal family, but across the entire British monarchy. It was a symbol of closeness in a time of growing uncertainty. Because behind the royal traditions, behind the polished smiles and military precision, a storm was brewing. One that would soon reveal the monarchy's most private truths and challenge everything the crown was meant to represent. At the start of 2024, people were just settling into the new era under King Charles. He had taken the throne after Queen Elizabeth II's long and historic reign. The transition had seemed smooth on the surface, but then came an announcement that shocked the nation. What had been described as a routine procedure for an enlarged prostate was followed by a stunning reveal. King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer. This was not just a health issue. It was a turning point. Never before had a reigning monarch made such a personal and vulnerable admission. For centuries, the royal family had lived by a strict code of privacy and emotional restraint. But King Charles decided it was time for something different. Despite strong advice from his team to keep the news private, Charles made the bold decision to share the truth. He understood what this meant, not just for his own image, but for the entire institution he represented. The king who once seemed distant and traditional suddenly became relatable, even emotional. His choice was seen as brave, honest, and groundbreaking. The public responded with unexpected warmth and support. Media headlines shifted away from drama and gossip. The focus turned to something far more human, a man fighting a serious illness with courage and choosing honesty over secrecy. Inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere changed almost overnight. The diagnosis hit the royal family hard. For Prince William, it was personal on every level. He wasn't just preparing to become king one day, he was now confronting the possible loss of his father while under the constant pressure of public life. His role suddenly felt heavier, his future closer. William continued to show up, attend events, and smile for the cameras. But those closest to him knew the truth. He was hurting. He was scared. And he was quietly preparing for a future he had hoped was still years away. While all this was happening, Princess Catherine was also facing her own private battle. She too had been struggling with health issues, though few outside the palace knew the full extent. Still, she chose to carry on. Her quiet strength became a powerful force within the family. She comforted her husband, helped guide her children, and continued to meet her public duties without complaint. Behind closed doors, she was a mother trying to keep things normal for George, Charlotte, and Louis. In public, she remained the graceful, steady figure people had come to admire. It was a delicate balancing act, but one she carried with remarkable dignity. What made this period so unique was how little was said and how much was felt. There were no grand speeches or emotional interviews, but there were small, telling moments. Prince Harry, who had been distant from the family after years of tension and public disagreements, quietly made his way back to see his father. No cameras, no headlines, just a son visiting his dad. That one visit, simple as it was, spoke volumes. It reminded the world that behind the headlines and royal duties, this was still a family. Flawed, wounded, but trying to hold each other, together during a painful time. At the heart of all this was Queen Camilla. Often misunderstood by the public, she became one of the strongest pillars in Charles's life. At first, her instinct was to protect him, to keep the illness quiet, to maintain the image of stability. But as time passed, she realized something greater was happening. This wasn't just about duty anymore. It was about love, honesty, and facing life's hardest truths head-on. Her loyalty and care for Charles were clear in every appearance, every gesture. More than just a queen consort, she stood beside her husband as a partner in every sense of the word. Then came the official announcement in February 2024. The palace issued a carefully worded statement confirming the king's illness. It didn't go into too much detail, but it was enough. People saw Charles differently now, not as just the monarch, but as a man, aging and vulnerable, dealing with something millions around the world also face. The effect was immediate. Across the UK and beyond, cancer awareness campaigns reported a spike in interest. Charities received more donations. Doctors saw more people asking for checkups and screenings. King Charles had done more than share a diagnosis. He had helped save lives. But the announcement wasn't just about health, it triggered a shift within the monarchy itself. Charles knew time was precious, so he began thinking about what came next. He didn't just want William to be ready to lead, he wanted to reshape the royal family's role in the modern world. And central to that plan was Catherine. Charles had always admired her. He saw in her a quiet strength, a deep sense of responsibility, and a connection with the public that was rare. She reminded him of Queen Elizabeth in many ways, but also brought something new, something the monarchy desperately needed: warmth, relatability, and authenticity. So Charles began making changes. Behind the scenes, he elevated William and Catherine's roles, not just in title, but in presence. He brought them into more key decisions. He trusted them to represent the future of the monarchy. He made it clear that Catherine would not just be a supporting figure, she would be a queen in her own right. This was more than symbolic. It was a sign that the old ways were being replaced with something newer and more connected to the people. Catherine's own story added to this shift. She wasn't born into royalty. Her parents worked regular jobs. Her mother had been a flight attendant, her father in aviation. Her grandparents lived in public housing and worked hard just to get by. Catherine's path to the palace was one of education, poise, and quiet resilience. She met William at university, not at a royal function. She faced public pressure, endless comparisons, and the constant weight of being in the spotlight. Yet through it all, she never lost her sense of self. Her life story made her more relatable to everyday people. Her struggles and grace made her more respected. And her loyalty to William and the royal duties made her a natural choice to lead alongside him. Since becoming the Princess of Wales, Catherine has taken on more and more responsibilities. After Queen Elizabeth's passing, she stepped into a larger spotlight. She didn't seek attention, but it came anyway. And she handled it all with a calmness that spoke louder than any speech. She showed the public that the monarchy could still matter, if it was human, honest, and connected to real life. As Charles continued treatment and slowly resumed royal duties, he did so with a new outlook. The events of 2024 had changed him. He seemed more thoughtful, more grounded. His openness about his illness had brought people closer to the crown. And his focus on preparing William and Catherine for the future showed that he understood what the monarchy needed to survive. William began stepping into more leadership roles. He started taking on tasks that were once his father's. He attended state functions, represented the UK abroad, and quietly began shaping what his reign might look like one day. He didn't try to be his father or his grandmother. He began finding his own voice. One that was modern, respectful, but not afraid to be different. Catherine was always by his side, not in the background, but as an equal. People no longer saw her as just William's wife. They saw her as the future queen, and not just any queen, but one that felt real, grounded, and strong. She became a symbol of hope in a time of uncertainty, a reminder that change, while scary, can lead to something better. This new version of the monarchy is still unfolding. But one thing is clear. King Charles's health crisis may have started as a personal challenge, but it became a national moment of reflection. It forced the royal family to look inward. It pushed them to show emotion, to speak honestly, and to share their human side with the world. In doing so, they connected with people in ways the monarchy rarely had before. They showed that behind the titles and tradition, they are a family. One that laughs, worries, and hurts, just like anyone else. And in that shared human experience, they found something powerful. The monarchy may never go back to what it was. And maybe that's a good thing, because in showing vulnerability, they found strength. In sharing pain, they found connection. And in facing the future together, they found purpose. If this story moved you or gave you a new way of seeing the royal family, don't forget to share your thoughts below. Your voice matters. Hit the like button if you found this video meaningful, and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. There's so much more ahead.